Real quick, before we get started, I want to ask what comes to mind when you hear the words processed foods? I'm willing to bet that your first thought is something along the lines of, nope, can't eat those. Processed foods are bad and unhealthy. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're actually not. Processed foods are actually necessary for anyone trying to do all of the life things like working a 9 to 5, taking care of the family, trying to work out, and practicing self care habits every day. Sure, some processed foods can lead to inflammation, but there are options that can actually support your health and your anti inflammatory diet. That's why I put together a free must have guide called 7 Processed Foods You Should Be Using to Make Anti Inflammatory Meals in Minutes. This guide is your go to resource to help you understand that processed doesn't mean unhealthy. Plus, you'll learn about 7 processed foods that can make your anti inflammatory life in the kitchen so much easier. And you'll also see a few quick and tasty suggestions on how to use them. Because let's be real, who has time to chop, wash, and prep every single meal from scratch while juggling work and errands and family? We've all got our plates full, literally and figuratively. All you have to do to get your hands on a free copy is go to betterwithcarbo.com/7foods. That's betterwithcarbo.com/7foods and grab your copy of the guide that will save you time, energy, and frustration in the kitchen. When we manage that overwhelm by starting small, setting realistic goals, letting go of perfection, and staying flexible, we're able to stay consistent. And with consistency comes confidence. And with confidence, we're reminded that we can do this, so we don't give up. I'm Krissy Carbo, registered dietitian and host of the Inflamed in the Brain podcast. Here we cut through the confusion and complexity of inflammatory health to deliver straightforward, bite-sized strategies and information you can easily apply to your life. Not that long ago, I was lost in a sea of information and overwhelmed by the challenges of inflammation. But cut through years of trial, education, and self-discovery, I've learned to break free from the chaos of fad diets to cultivate a practical, anti-inflammatory lifestyle that not only helped me stabilize my own diagnosis, but thrive with it. Whether you're an autoimmune warrior yourself, or you're just trying to have a healthier, uncomplicated life, you're in the right place. Together, we'll explore realistic strategies that can make a profound difference in your life. So if you're ready to embrace a simpler, healthier way to live, let's dive in, learn, and grow together. Welcome to the Inflamed in the Brain podcast. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another quickie episode of the Inflamed in the Brain podcast. I'm Krissy, your host and friendly neighborhood dietitian, and today we're talking all about starting over and how to do so without feeling overwhelmed. I know one goal that I have an issue staying consistent with is exercising. Before I had my son, I would probably work out like 5 to 6 times a week, but since having a kid, it's been really hard for me to stay consistent, and I go through these bouts where I'm super motivated and I'll work out like 4 days a week for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I just fall off. I'm tired, I had a long day, whatever it is, I just fall off. And it's not just the working out part, but it's also like my endurance. It's been a while since I've been consistent, so I'm not moving as fast or doing as many reps as I'd like to, and it's really discouraging. And in general, it's pretty discouraging and overwhelming to exercise because I not only feel like I need to find a new routine for myself, but I feel like a beginner all over again. And I'm sharing this because I know you're also right here with me because you're still here listening. So whether you're starting a new way of taking care of yourself because your last diet failed you, maybe you're trying to work out after a while of doing nothing, maybe you went to the doctor and got some unexpected results, starting from scratch can be a really daunting and overwhelming feeling. So as a reminder to myself, with my own personal goals, and to also help you get rid of whatever overwhelming feelings you might be feeling, you feel like you're on the struggle bus, I want to talk to you today about how you can start over and start fresh without feeling too overwhelmed. Discomfort and challenge is pretty normal and expected when starting anything new, but feeling overwhelmed is manageable and there's plenty that you can do to minimize it. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to starting over with minimal overwhelming feelings is just to start small and focus on one change at a time. Overwhelm often comes when we try to overhaul everything all at once. So, changing your diet, incorporating a brand new morning routine, starting a new workout plan. When you do all of those things and you're changing all of that all at once, we're going to end up feeling like it's too much. And then we kind of just stop it altogether. So, for me, I really want to get consistent with moving my body. But if I set an expectation of working out 5 to 6 days a week like I used to, I'd be setting myself up for burnout. My life looks totally different now. It's nothing like it was 2 years ago, and I need to account for that and be realistic. So, a better approach would be to start with one small, impactful change and then get good at that. So, carving out 10 minutes to move my body, maybe a couple of days a week, and then just building on that, eventually working out longer and more often. So maybe for you, it's an anti inflammatory breakfast or going to bed earlier, maybe spending 1 hour less on your phone every day. You want to focus on one manageable area at a time so that it takes the pressure off and lets you build a strong foundation over time. One small step at a time turns into lasting, sustainable results and consistency. So start with just one change and then let that lead to the next. This leads us into my next point here, which is making a mindset shift from perfection to progress in order to avoid overwhelm. I know how easy it is to get caught up in thinking that if something isn't done perfectly, then it's not worth doing at all. I tend to be really hard on myself and personally struggle with this one a lot. Anytime I start something, I set like this all or nothing kind of expectation for myself. But the problem is that life is not linear. And the all or nothing mindset really sets us up for failure when real life hiccups do happen because they will happen. They always will happen. So instead of aiming for perfection 100% of the time, have some grace with yourself. You really don't know what you don't know. So expect yourself to mess up, make mistakes. You will have setbacks, and that's just part of the journey. That's just part of life, and we need to accept that progress is not linear, and we need those setbacks and sticky moments in order to learn from them and get better. So, again, let go of the idea that you need to get everything right immediately. Your small wins from those small realistic goals that we just talked about a few minutes ago, those will add up and eventually create lasting change and keep you moving upwards in the grand scheme of things. This leads us into our last point here of embracing flexibility and showing yourself some grace and permission to learn. I mentioned a little earlier that life is unpredictable. So, trying to stick to a rigid plan that doesn't take your personal life into account often leads to more stress and guilt when things inevitably go off track. They will go off track. But remember, progress is not linear. So we need to try to be flexible with ourselves and create backup plans, like plan B meals or habits that fit easily into a busy day. So for me, I might want to do a 30-minute bike ride every day, but if I had a chaotic day and all I really need to do is get myself and maybe everyone else out of the house so that we can be sane, a walk with the family will do just fine. So maybe for you, it's keeping a few anti inflammatory processed foods on hand. That can be a total lifesaver on really hectic days. This way, when things don't go as planned and you don't have the time or the energy to make everything from scratch, you're still making choices that support your goals. And I do have a link to a free guide, including a few processed foods that you should have on hand for quick and easy meals. I'll link those in the show notes that you can grab after you're done listening here. But most importantly, give yourself permission to learn along the way. Setbacks are a normal part of any health journey and aren't any reasons to give up. So when you let go of the need to be perfect, you'll be able to approach each day with curiosity, ready to learn what works best for you without that kind of added pressure. Feeling overwhelmed is totally normal, and it's actually a good thing. It's a sign that you're pushing yourself to grow and become better. But when that overwhelm builds, it can trick us into believing that what we're aiming for, like exercising more, sleeping better, eating healthier, isn't possible, so we quit. So, what if we just approached it a little differently? When we manage that overwhelm by starting small, setting realistic goals, letting go of perfection, and staying flexible, we're able to stay consistent. And with consistency comes confidence. And with confidence, we're reminded that we can do this, so we don't give up. I encourage you to take some time this week to write down just one goal that you'd like to focus on. You may have quite a few goals if you're anything like myself, but choose one that feels like a challenge, one that you're having a hard time meeting, and then make it as simple as possible. Maybe it's just 10 minutes of movement, one balanced meal a day, 1 hour off of your phone. Start small, build that habit, and let that momentum carry you forward. Remember, you've got this. That's all I have for you today. I hope you found this quickie episode helpful. And if you did, please share it with a friend, leave a review, check out my show notes for helpful links, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our anti-inflammatory conversations. Until next time, same place. Bye for now.